Today, across the United States, a war is being waged. In 1982, President and movie man Ronald Reagan proclaimed that the U.S. would win the war on drugs. This promise manifested in the invocation of a new type of conflict, an internal, informal, domestic war on U.S. citizens by their government. Legislation was introduced and passed to allow local police departments to purchase and use military surplus equipment for domestic operations. Lobby groups for private prisons put pressure on members of Congress to be tough on crime. Mandatory minimum sentences were introduced for minor drug offenses. Police were pressured to over-police impoverished areas. At the peak of the buildup, the CIA, while working in partnership with the Nicaraguan Contras, synthesized and introduced crack cocaine to the United States, sparking one of the worst drug epidemics in the United States history. All of which contributed to the rise of the mass incarceration of U.S. citizens. As of the latest tally, 2.3 million people are in prison in the U.S. today, 716 per thousand. The U.S. is the world's leading jailer, housing 22% of the world's incarcerated population, despite only representing 4.4% of its total population.
Okay, so our solution is to A, legalize all drugs, and B, provide care clinics to people struggling with drug addiction. So we should start listening to drug users about the pain they're trying to numb and begin putting sufficient resources into offering comprehensive treatments and alternatives. A report by Harvard-based researcher Jeff Myron estimates that $47.9 billion is spent annually on drug prohibition enforcement, whereas $58.8 billion could potentially be raised in tax revenue. The point of legalization is not monetary, but our plan would easily pay for itself. In 2016 alone, an estimated 64,000 Americans died from opioid overdoses, more than the combined death tolls for Americans in the Vietnam, Afghanistan, and Iraq wars. Portugal also used to be in the grip of heroin addiction. An estimated 1% of the population was hooked on heroin, but when Portugal legalized all drugs, the drug-induced death rate plummeted to 5 times lower than the EU average and stands at 1/50th of the United States.
The war on drugs has been, from the outset, an outright attack on vulnerable members of our community. It's time to stop the bloodshed, imprisonment, and surveillance that has been born of this unjust occupation.